Welcome back. Watch out this weekend for what will reportedly be the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. Vladimir Putin appears ready to blow up parts of Europe's largest nuclear power plant and blame it on the Ukrainians. We know this by watching Russian state TV. Pay attention to the subtitles.
Приказ на остановку боевых действий Зеленскому может прийти только из Вашингтона. Ну а там останавливать ничего особо и не хотят. Более того, решение бомбить АЭС принималось именно в Пентагоне. Цель Чернобыль 2.0.
Their goal, Chernobyl 2.0, referring to the United States and Washington. This is a classic Russian disinformation plan. Create a crisis, stage or manufacture a nuclear meltdown, blame it on the other side. Who knows if Putin will actually go through with the plan, but releasing nuclear fallout over Europe would change just about everything we have known since the 1950s. They can't do that, of course, in America. But a new indictment from the Department of Justice shows Russian intelligence officers are using sort of the same playbook in America, in this case, trying to stoke political divisions domestically. A lot of the craziest memes and tweets and hot takes you see on Twitter are created here, either from the Russian GRU headquarters or a couple of the other military intelligence operations inside of Russia. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports the Russians paid for members of the so-called Black Hammer Party, which we'd never heard of until now, to travel to San Francisco and march to protest Facebook's censorship of posts supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The influence went so far as to direct Black Hammer members on the designs of signs for their protests. The Black Hammer Party is an anti-colonialism group, as they describe themselves. They advocate for murdering police, believe in overthrowing the U.S. government, support the stolen election lie, and they have about a dozen members, many named Igor. Ultimately, the goal is to unravel the United States from within. Aaron Matei is here, journalist at Greystone. And look, the Russians have been doing this, since the 1940s, 50s? They supported the Black Panthers.
Well, they're accused of supporting the Black Panthers, and that's an important thing to be clear on. Whenever law enforcement, especially the FBI, has tried to undermine Black liberation activists in the U.S., there's a long history of them trying to disingenuously paint them to Russia. Dr. King was accused of being a Russian agent. Fred Hampton also was accused of similar things. And of course, we know what happened to Fred Hampton. The FBI was involved in his murder. So when we're talking about now a new FBI allegation against Black liberation activists, we have to acknowledge that very ugly history and wonder if it's in fact part of that same domestic interference campaign to actually taint dissent. And before we get into that more, let me also say, I don't accept the premise of your segment that Russia is going to blow up this nuclear plant or threatening to. Russia's been occupying that plant for several months now. Both sides accuse the other of shelling the plant. Russia says it's Ukraine. Ukraine says it's Russia. I'm not there, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
What I do know is that it does underscore the need for diplomacy, not fueling this proxy war a day further.
We'll agree to argue about that a different day when something actually happens over there. Fair enough. But back to so the Justice Department accused Alexandra Viktorovich Ivanov of working for the past 7 years on behalf of the Kremlin to recruit and pay American groups to publish pro-Russian propaganda. You don't believe that?
Well, I want to see the evidence for it. We have a long history in this country of law enforcement saying things, but because we're a democracy, we don't take what they say on faith. We wait for the evidence. And so if they have evidence, then of course I could believe that. But I should note a few things. First of all, everything that Russia is accused of doing here, interfering in domestic politics, sowing chaos in the U.S., is exactly what the U.S. does around the world, but on a much grander scale. The U.S. imposes sanctions on foreign countries whose governments it wants to undermine, which cripples their economy. And also spends billions of dollars on propaganda campaigns. Yeah.
Right. The flip side of this is, should we be surprised, right? Like, it's only a crime when you get caught. All's fair in love and war.
Yeah, no, look, so if Russia is actually trying to influence domestic activists for its own aims, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, this is what powerful governments do. Yeah.
This is from another group, the UHURU movement, socialist group Tampa, Florida, agitated against capitalism, plan to end the system of domestic colonialism, smash the U.S. colonialist state, is some of their goals. At some level, when you've got 12 people, it's a little laughable. At the flip side, you've got the GRU, among others, and this is at least we got pretty good evidence, I think you could say, from the Mueller report of what they were doing in St. Petersburg and in other locations from the GRU, military intelligence. We can all agree that Russia doesn't really care whether they agitate from the left or the right. They want to just sort of divide us against each other, and they're doing a good job at it.
Well, look, you're giving the FBI and the Mueller report far more credit than I would. The Mueller report found that a troll farm controlled by an associate of Vladimir Putin was spending tens of thousands of dollars on Facebook memes that nobody saw and that were juvenile in their nature. There were Buff Bernie memes and things like that. So the idea that this could influence a single person in the U.S., to me, is a joke. And to me, the real utility of these allegations is to fearmonger about Russia, justify warmongering against it, and also taint dissenters in the U.S. Basically, anybody who the national security state does not like, they can be accused of being Russian dupes. And thereby, we ignore the very long history of these same agencies making these allegations, interfering in U.S. politics by accusing people like black liberation activists of being Russian dupes.
Right. It's interesting because, it's the black liberations being Russian dupes, and 4 years ago it was Donald Trump being a Russian dupe. So it cuts both ways on the political scale. Hey, Aaron, it's always good to see and hear your perspective. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Great way to end the week. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.